Hey, it's Double Radio. We're back really quickly to go over a quick kind of impressions of the Switch 2, which just got revealed a couple days ago. All of us, I think, are avid Switch players at various points. Some of us more than others, I think. But
Avid might be pushing it, but I own one.
I was a while ago.
It's in
most of us
waves
own
for
one.
me. It depends on what games I'm playing.
I play it a ton when I'm traveling, or if I'm playing a Nintendo thing, obviously.
Yeah, I play it a ton when there's a Zelda game that has just come out.
Yes. Well, speaking of not Zelda games, but Mario Kart games coming out, Switch 2 got revealed with some new hardware. We don't have a ton of details that we're going to talk about for actual hardware specs, because obviously we need benchmarks and other things to come out. There were a bunch of leaks around the Switch 2, but nobody really knows exactly how reliable every bit of hardware info is about that. I think they're pretty reliable, but we have the real stuff here, and we're not going to speculate too heavily about what the hardware will potentially look like.
No.
Yeah, we'll know for real soon. So the gist is Switch 2, fancy looking. It's got all black now with the red and blue highlights. The thing that they don't really show in this trailer is that this is pretty big compared to Switch 1. If I can, yeah, here's kind
There's
of
a bit at the beginning where they
yeah, here's the
upscale
side by side.
Yeah, it may not
Where-
seem
Is
like
that-
much.
Is that
much
around
of a
the size of a
difference.
Steam Deck?
It's just under. It's a little bit under. Because the Steam Deck, I actually don't have mine with me right now, but Wyatt, I believe you do. You got your Switch too. You got your regular Switch to show the size comparison. Perfect.
Oh,
I just
nice.
tried
Oh,
a Switch
wow.
OLED, which is
That's
slightly wider.
Yeah. So,
considerably bigger.
The main thing is the Switch is way thinner than the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck's a pretty chunky box. It takes up a lot more space. Really nice consoles, both of them, but I think the Switch's benefit is in portability. I am glad it's getting a little bit bigger just because the Joy-Cons are kind of painful.
Yes.
I have for mine.
Yeah, I tried to play Splatoon in handheld mode not that long ago.
I got these
and
guys,
I got
the,
two
split
matches
pad
in.
that I have to use. If I ever am playing portable and am playing a game that requires me to use the thumbstick, I use one of these and not
I understand that
the
this would
Joy-Con.
have, and I think I had mentioned this when we did our Switch 2 wish list episode, which you should go check out because it's very cool. But one thing that makes this so much fun to actually use in handheld mode, or so comfy, is that it's got these nice handles on the back that are big enough where you can really kind of wrap your fingers around it, and so it gives you a really nice sturdy feel. The problem with something like a tablet console like this is that you have nothing to grip onto back here, and
This is
so you kind of have to
regular
angle
Your fingers
controller.
start cramping after a while, yeah.
yeah,
the
your fingers
split
start
pad.
cramping.
There's a
and-
pretty big difference between the two of these.
Yeah. exactly.
And yeah, I think the bigger just size in general will mean that it's more comfortable to use with handheld mode without accessories. I'm
Mhm.
sure there will be a whole slew. I imagine Hori's going to do another set of pro controllers and whatnot and split pads. But I do think this one looks like those will probably be less necessary. Especially because if I can find the moment in this where they show the wrist strap thing, it seems like the back of the controller is just the same thing. The wrist strap does not actually make the buttons bigger anymore. It just adds a thing around the edge. Yeah, because it's the center of those go through.
They are much bigger and
Yes.
more
Well,
pronounced.
it also
Yeah, they're not
another
level
thing-
with it either.
Another thing they didn't show, which I think this was, I don't know if they showed it off at all, but there was the sort of separate controller dock while the Switch is docked, where you have that little thing that you can put both the Joy-Cons
Yes.
in.
Yeah,
They-
it made
they're
the
doing
Joy-Cons
that.
into a
They-
controller,
They
basically.
didn't show one off
They did right
here.
here.
Did they show that off? Oh, they did. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it looks real similar.
Okay.
Similar, a little bit more like a box
Mhm.
that's bigger, but
Uh,
I think this looks good from initial impressions. I do think so. If the rumor for performance, and I think what Nintendo's kind of said, is that this is going to fall somewhere between PS4 Pro and Xbox Series S level, probably
Really?
closer to PS4
I
Pro.
heard base PS4 is what I've been hearing.
I've
But
definitely
again,
heard things
we
like
don't know
Pro,
for
but
sure.
again, this is where we don't know the hardware specs, so it could end up being either. The gist is this is going to be significantly more powerful than the Switch, but not not on par with current console gen stuff.
Yeah.
Which I don't think anyone was expecting. Like, that's not
No,
Yeah.
not from any.
not a realistic
Switch.
expectation.
I always hope,
Yeah.
but never expect.
Not from a handheld console.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think a good sweet spot, and I understand that this is a Steam Deck is probably going to be more expensive than a Switch 2. Steam Deck is like 400 minimum, and then you kind of
up to like
range
600
in-
to 700 depending on what you're buying.
But I feel like the performance you get for this thing is such a good sweet spot. Like obviously there are other
Yes.
handheld PCs that offer more power, but the battery life trade-off that you get for this, and it's able to run like older AAA games mostly okay, and it's really good for 2D stuff and kind of simpler looking things. I would hope that this is somewhere within the range of a Steam Deck. I don't know if that's actually what's going to happen, because I'm finding it hard to like place where this would go in terms of like a PS4 Pro and an Xbox Series S. But I do hope it's somewhere within that range, because I think that would be a good sweet spot for it. Definitely.
Totally. For me, it's really just like, I don't really need my Switch games to look like next-gen console games or current-gen console games. I'm not expecting them to. But what I do want is like at least a solid 30 frames, right? Like, that's the thing that I think the Switch has
I feel like
continually been struggling with, is just hitting a locked 30. And I preferably 60, but the locked 30 is I will take if I can get
I'm
it.
okay with games looking on the rougher side if we can get them at 60 frames.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Genuinely.
and I think like the thing is, like when the Switch came out, you know, like we've talked about this before, but Zelda Breath of the Wild ran quite well. But that was kind of the starting point, and so like
And it also does struggle in certain areas. Breath of the Wild runs
definitely,
generally
like, by the
well,
Deku
but there's
Tree and
definitely
everything.
spots.
But Breath of the Wild 2 and like the recent Pokemon games have had like real struggles, and so like the fact
You can
that they're
kind of
really
break Tears of the
struggling-
Kingdom apart if you build some crangly objects.
and like
Yeah.
these are first party games. There should be no one.
Echoes
really-
of Wisdom especially is like real rough in
Yeah.
wandering
Really?
around outside. Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
unfortunate because Echoes of Wisdom is a phenomenal game, but the frame rate gets like 20s when you're
Ugh.
wandering around the overworld sometimes. It's great inside, but clearly they're
Plus
like
another
loading
another
tons of
rough
stuff.
one. Another rough one is Mario Kart 8, because like it runs perfectly fine 1 to 2 players, but that's a game where you really need as many frames as humanly possible. And
Yeah.
if you're doing 3 or 4 player split screen, it can get a little rough, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And also at that point, you've got 3 or 4 players in one screen. You're already suffering
Yeah,
trying to
exactly.
look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but those are all, these are all first party games. Like these should be the easiest thing for them to optimize. They make the hardware, they make the games.
Mhm.
They should have the know-how. And the
I
fact
mean,
that
I
they're
think the
struggling.
real hope that I have is that this is. I mean, they've said it's backwards compatible. That is confirmed with the majority of the Switch
Mostly.
library. There's definitely stuff that probably won't work. Like I would guess, like Ring Fit is probably not going to work with
I
this.
was about to say Ring Fit,
Yeah.
probably not, unless they're also compatible with
That
like a
game's-
wire. Like what they could do is say, hey, you can wirelessly connect older Joy-Cons to this. You just can't
Which would be
fit
nice.
it in the console.
That'd be
which
a
would
great
nice.
thing if they
Like
let you do
Nintendo
it.
Labo might not really be supported on this. I think that's why this disclaimer is here, for weird edge cases that have kind of more bizarre,
Yes.
that rely more on Joy-Con setup.
Or that like weird
I-
architecture
Hopefully they
things or
will.
something.
Sure.
So these exclusive games as well as. Are we gonna be able to play Switch 2 games on the Switch?
No.
No.
The new console.
Do we think they're only going to be making Switch 2 versions of games that?
I think
Nintendo
going
normally
forward-
doesn't do like games that are compatible with both when a new console comes out.
Yeah, I would
I
There's
expect.
a few Zeldas that do.
I am
Breath of
going
the
to
Wild was
scream
because it was originally
if-
supposed to be a Wii U game to begin with, and then it was like also brought to the Switch.
Look, I'm gonna scream if I have to buy an entirely new console just to play the next Professor Layton game.
I mean, Professor Layton, I wouldn't worry so much about. I think it's more about like mainline Zelda games and whatnot, and like
That
Metroid
I
once
Yeah,
Prime
I think
4
Metroid
releases.
Prime 4 will not be coming to the Switch.
I don't know. I feel like they might stick to having that work on Switch 1 because they announced it for Switch 1, and Nintendo typically will do that.
I don't
if they
know though,
announce a
because
game.
they haven't really shown anything off for that game yet.
They showed footage.
And
We saw gameplay footage a while back.
I forgot.
Yeah, they showed like a whole preview. It wasn't very long,
right.
but we did see like a whole thing. So
I
would be surprised if that wasn't
like
running
I
on
just
Switch.
looked at it and I went, yeah, Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah, I think that's going to be like the Switch 2 showcase for sure. Like I imagine that's definitely built for Switch 2 now, but I
think that could be a flagship title for it.
I don't know. I mean, Metroid Prime 4 has had such a crazy development history that.
I mean, that's a flagship title right there, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like
Mario Kart 9 already is like, if this is what we're seeing with new Mario Kart that clearly isn't 8.
Plus, you know what we haven't gotten? You know what we haven't gotten a hot minute is a 3D Zelda. Or sorry, 3D Mario.
Yeah, 3D Mario. Last one was Odyssey. So
Odyssey 2.
Yeah, Odyssey 2 or a new one. I could totally see that on the table.
Whatever
Zelda
Pokemon stuff they're cranking out this year.
My real hope is that the Zelda games that are on the Switch already will run at a better frame rate on the Switch 2. Or at least a locked frame rate.
I hope so.
Because if I can play Tears of the Kingdom again and it just runs really well the whole time, I'm going to love it. Same with Echoes of Wisdom, right? I just want to, like, that game I've played like a bit of, but I really want to, at this point, kind of hold out and play it when it's running more good.
Now there is one more mystery here that we haven't quite touched on. I don't know if you noticed, but if you look on the right Joy-Con, right below the home button, that's an extra button that is not present on the other controllers. There's been rumors, there's been leaks that is a C button, which typically is on older Nintendo controllers, which typically meant like camera-related stuff. But there's no like markings or anything on that in this render, so we have no idea what that is.
There's rumors of it being usable as a mouse too. So
which is interesting.
No idea.
Well, why would you need that when you have Joy-Con? But
a lot of like
you mean
like a touchpad, like a lot of handheld PCs now have touchpads. Not that the Switch would need one necessarily, but I guess we'll see. I do find it curious that we don't get it on both sides, because on the other side that's the capture button that has like screenshots and whatever else. So I'm very curious to see what that is.
Yeah, because it's also like my first guess would have been it's the magnetic like detaching for the Joy-Con, but that's the triggers on the back.
That's on the back.
So we already know where that is. I don't know.
I think my biggest disappointment, just based on what we've seen, which is not much, is I understand that they can't really change the layout of the buttons because of how Joy-Cons work and what they're used for. I totally understand that, despite the fact that I feel like it's going to be very difficult to go back to something like the Switch when you have the layout on the Steam Deck, which in my opinion is like far and away the best layout for like handheld tablets like this. What I am disappointed by, I really wish, and maybe it feels better in person, I really wish they had just said screw it and gone for the full fat thumbstick that you get on a lot of handheld PCs now. It still looks,
it's kind of like halfway there compared to like the original Switch. It's clearly a bigger thumbstick than that. Like you can see, it's just like already much bigger. But I think the question is like, is that going to be comfortable?
The travel on the thumbstick is what gets me. Not only is this a convex design rather than a concave design. Here, let me see if I can focus here. It's come on, you can do it. Come on, camera, you got this. There we go. So first of all, it's a convex design, which some people prefer. I prefer them to be concave personally. Same. But the travel is so shallow in comparison to something like a Steam Deck.
From this image, like this crangled angle we're kind of looking at, it does look like it has more travel than this. Like this is a regular Joy-Con.
How much more is the question?
Not by a ton. Like it doesn't seem like a ton. Exactly. But the other rumor with the joysticks, these don't look like the same setup as the Switch One. Like they clearly have the extra layer that the Switch One doesn't have, which so far has me thinking these are probably Hall effect joysticks, and if they are,
that would be lovely.
That will fix like all the drifting issues that everyone has, hopefully. And I really hope they're going for that more expensive, or it's not even that much more expensive. It's just better Joy-Con and joystick tech. at this point, because yeah, I'm getting sick of my controllers drifting, and I would love to have one that is not as prone to that and is just more durable in general, especially for a portable console. I love that they're keeping the big kickstand.
Yeah,
That's like actually
me too.
useful, yeah, even if it's like the cutout one. I don't really think that's going to matter much, but
I am interested. It is a bigger console. There's a lot of bezel on that screen, more than I was expecting. It's totally possible that it could still be a screen size that is comparable or bigger than the OLED, which is a slightly bigger screen size than the base Switch, because they really did use up more of the front of the console. But it's more bezel than I was expecting.
yeah, I mean, I think
What
these
we-
images are to scale, maybe not, but they're at least close. Like this is definitely much bigger than the Switch, and the screen does have less of a bezel. It looks like than at least the base Switch model.
Less of, but I mean, you compare it to the bezel that you get on the OLED, right? Like what you're seeing right there, that's not really bezel, that's more end of the console. I would say most of that is just the edge of the actual
Yeah,
of the actual tablet, and the bezel is so thin, and it makes actually a huge difference when you're just playing in handheld mode, because it really does kind of immerse you in the game that you're playing a little bit more. I'm sure it'll be bigger. My question is that screen OLED? If that screen is not OLED,
yes,
that is a mind-blowing decision if
That
it's not.
feels like it would be such a step backwards.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I think
Release a
the only
console,
thing
an
that would
upgraded version.
convince me to not buy one of these at launch is probably not being OLED, because
It's hard to
that
go back.
means you know that they're gonna make an OLED console at some point for you
Yeah.
to buy.
And
So just wait for the
It's-
OLED.
I mean, it's pretty much a guarantee nowadays that people are
Yeah.
going to do like a pro version anyway.
Yeah.
Totally. But I imagine it'll be a while. Like, I think if this is an OLED screen and these are Hall effect joysticks, I think that's the best that anyone can really expect.
The only other
from a
thing that
console
I would
refresh.
ask for, I do like the USB-C on top, which is a great
Yes.
addition, one on top and bottom, because I've really grown to love having the charging port on top of the Steam Deck, because I'm often playing this sitting down or in bed or something like that, and so it's nice having it coming out the top rather than the bottom. What I will say is, oh no, I totally forgot what I was going to say. Damn it. Shit.
Guess that's what you won't say now.
Damn it.
But yeah, I
guess
think
I
overall
won't
I'm
say
really
anything.
excited for this. We have a direct coming up for it, I think in April. That's what is running, or Nintendo's running. So I think that's where we'll get our biggest like reveals of information. They're doing like a whole press tour preview thing, or not press tour, but like a preview event where you can go use the Switch 2 at various Nintendo stores. And
luck.
that's running up to June, I believe, the start of June. So I think our expectation, my best guess for this console coming out sometime in like the summer of this year. So we'll see if it's in the summer, if it's going to fall more towards winter. I'm just excited to see where Nintendo goes from here. And it seems so far that we have a sensible console and no Wii U shenaniganry going
They're
in.
playing it very safe, which I think is the smart decision after the Wii U was also supposed to be a follow-up to the Wii.
Yeah, they're just calling it
And no one
Nintendo Switch
understood what
2.
it was.
Though I am always going to be
Yeah,
salty that they didn't call it the Super Nintendo Switch, even though that is a confusing name.
The
I
SNSW.
feel like
I am
I feel like the Switch is just such a like an evolution of so many other designs coming into one console that for them to it just makes sense for me
Yeah.
it
for
is
them to do the
interesting.
Switch 2 rather than reinvent the wheel.
It is interesting because when the Switch came out, that kind of handheld tablet like gaming machine was
Wasn't much of
such
a
a new
thing.
thing.
Yeah.
Now there's so much competition. Literally any company
Yeah.
that makes a gaming laptop also has a handheld gaming PC at this point.
Though I'm also
Like,
expecting, like, I don't think the Switch 2 is competing with those, to be honest. Like, I think in general, people that buy the Switch 2, including myself, are buying it for Nintendo's games and would buy it regardless of what it is. Like, the Switch 2
But
just
I
is a
think-
good form factor and a nice size. So
but I think that does affect its like impact though, because it was such a unique, novel thing, and now it's
now
less
they
of
just
that.
need, now they need to do a better job at a thing that's already being done rather
Exactly.
than come up with a new thing.
Such as Analog triggers would be nice.
Yes.
Because on no form of Switch do we have analog. Also,
Switch
they're not
sucks
going to
for
do
racing
this.
games.
Yes. Also, they're not going to do this. But I'm just going to throw that out there. Hey, Nintendo, throw in a nice carrying case. We're already paying top dollar for your handheld machine that isn't pocketable.
Give us a hard case.
Just give us a nice hard case. Even, you know what? It doesn't even have to be as fancy as the Steam Decks. This is the one that I have for my Switch, and it is the most basic, boring-looking thing
Oh
you
yeah,
could
it's the same one
possibly
I have.
imagine.
It's great though. It
This
works.
is perfectly fine. Just throw something in there because everyone, and they're not going to do it because like Nintendo
Hold on.
console accessories, it's kind of its own little community at this point. But
Is Rosalina over there on the left in like a snow? Like, does it have a
I
snow?
think she might
Oh, yeah.
be in a
front of that
snowspeeder.
vehicle?
Yeah.
Yeah,
oh
snowmobile.
my god, she's in a snowmobile.
Totally a
Oh,
snowmobile.
oh my goodness.
Also, did you see that the real controversy out of this is that it looks like Donkey Kong has a different design?
Why is that a controversy?
I didn't notice that.
People don't like it. I like it.
I love
though.
that now we've got a
Looks
hyper-analyzed Donkey
goofy as
Kong's
hell.
design.
There it
Oh
is.
yeah, he is a little different.
Oh,
He's
his
a little
eyes are
goofy back
Enhance.
there.
together.
Enhance.
mean,
Yeah,
I guess
he
we'll
looks
see.
goofy, but he kind of looks more like classic, like arcade Donkey Kong to me almost.
Yeah.
The fact that people spotted that, Jesus Christ.
Crazy.
People are gonna frame
I
by
saw
frame
people arguing
analyze
about
this.
it over the internet.
Also, what do you think the over/under is on some sort of AI upscaling?
I think they're going to have an upscaling
thing.
thing. So I think they have hardware that's powerful enough to do it, and it is a good way to get things to just look better without a ton of performance overhead. So I feel like they probably will have like a DLSS type thing going for it. I don't think they're going to have like a crazy advanced super DLSS 4 situation. It's going to be just whatever they can get running on it. Yeah, I don't think it's
I
going
think
to be
that would
crazy.
be incredibly smart for something like this.
Yeah.
Especially when you're already coming out of the gate, you're one of the big three making a console, and it's expected to be,
Everyone
lower
knows
spec than
Nintendo's
everything else.
always like half a console generation to a full generation behind at this point. Like,
Which is crazy because it didn't used to be this way. I always found that.
I mean, it's been this way ever since
look at
the like Wii. So,
Yeah.
it's been this way for a while. I think, which to
They're
me
on
is
their own
fine. Like,
path.
I think Nintendo is doing a good job of doing their own thing and like making a cool Switch, and not what everyone else says they should do. So, yeah, I hope everything comes out and works really well on this. I'm excited for a new Mario Kart. I gotta throw it up there. What do people want to see for games for the launch lineup for this? I think they're showing the Mario Kart game. This is probably a launch title. If they are,
Zelda collection.
I was
give me
about
the
to say
Wind
that.
Waker
I
and
think it is
Twilight Princess collection when
I
this
need-
launches.
exactly what I was
I
thinking.
don't know if I can properly describe the need of a Wind Waker HD re-release. As someone who wants to get into more Zelda games, I want it so bad.
Because Wind Waker has a good HD remake. It's just locked on the Wii U.
I'm not buying a Wii U
Yeah,
just to play it. I'm
I'm
not doing
such
that.
a like the game I played the hell out of as a kid and was Twilight Princess. So I would love for that to be on this.
That'd be
For me, I want to see what Monolith Soft is up to. I think Monolith Soft's been cooking for a while after Xenoblade 3. And whatever they've got going for this, because we know they're doing the Xenoblade Chronicles X remake, or remaster is coming out in a couple months. And that looks really good. It looks like they added content to that. So I'm wondering if maybe we're getting a Xenoblade X2 relatively soon after.
Maybe kind of wacky. Throw in something Star Fox. That'd be
Hell
kind of fun.
yeah. Give us a Star Fox game.
Honestly, keep that concept that you had for Star Fox Zero, where the ships also turn into like cool mechs that run
Ooh.
around. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Stuck in a bad Star Fox game, but cool idea.
Here you go. Here's one that they won't do. F-Zero.
I was just about to say the same thing, because the
problem
problem is, I think F-Zero would be plausible if they didn't show Mario Kart as the like first thing.
Exactly. They're not gonna.
Because I don't think there's two racing games that they're working on at the same time, but it would be really fun if we got an F-Zero with more modern tech.
I mean, obviously, so like, we're saying all of these like dream releases, right? But none of them compare to what I think would be the killer app, which is a 1-2 Switch 3 or whatever they
Of
decide to
course.
call it.
If they could pack that in, it would be great, but they're not going to.
They're not going to do that.
Yeah, they should. This should have a pack-in game by all measure, but won't. I expect.
Do you think we're going to get a massively different UI at all?
I
I
doubt
don't
it
think
because
we're
it's
getting a massively
cross-compatible.
different anything.
Because I don't think we would really need that much of a refresh. I think what we have.
I just need it to run
Works
okay.
perfectly
Like the
fine.
Switch's UI
Yeah.
runs so poorly, it's so slow,
Yeah.
that if the eShop just works, that's what I'll take that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't need much more than
I
that.
feel like every time I go
I would
into
prefer
the
less
eShop,
shovelware.
Also, how
you know when at the beginning of Dune, when he puts his hand in the box, or he's about to put his hand in the box, and he's like, "What's in the box?" And she says, "Pain." That's what I feel like every time I start to enter the eShop.
Yep.
If you scream, are you gonna get killed? Is
Also,
there
maybe
a
have-
needle pointed at your neck by the Switch?
maybe have
I
Bluetooth
just
audio
cry the
support.
third time it asks for my password.
Oh
Maybe have Bluetooth
god.
audio support out of the box rather than having us
Yeah.
complain about it for like 4 years.
I mean, I think what we're really getting at is like
Yeah.
if this walks back anything the Switch has already done, people
Yeah.
are gonna be a little disappointed.
I don't
So I
think
gotta
there's
ask.
any way it's going to.
Yeah,
I'm
I
worried
doubt
about
it
the
will.
screen. I'm worried about the screen.
The OLED screen thing does worry me,
Yeah.
but I think we'll see whenever their next April talk is or direct is and going over this. Price point. How expensive do we think this is going to be?
What did
I
the
think it's
Switch
gonna
cost
be-
when it came out?
300. So I think it's going to be 350 to 400.
Yeah, the
I'm
Switch
thinking the
now
same
you
thing.
can generally find Switches for between 250 to 350, depending on which model you're looking
Oh.
OLED tacking on another $50, I'd say.
at. OLED is the 350, I think.
Oh.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I'm
think-
thinking this is probably going to be at the $400. If it's much more than $400, I would be surprised.
Yeah, I think 400 is
hurt
probably
me
what people are
greatly
expecting.
in the wallet.
I would still get this at 450, but I think higher than that is going to start looking more like, oh, just buy a Steam Deck OLED instead of a Switch.
Yeah, exactly. If it's higher
yeah.
than that, I think that's what I will be doing.
Yeah. Okay. That
Alright.
seems like our general thoughts of Switch stuff. So hopefully we have Switches in our hands at some point this year and can talk about it. And there isn't a huge, like there was with the Switch 1, a huge issue with even being able to get one. I think Nintendo said
did
they have a
say-
bigger production thing.
I was about to say they have some sort of production plan to combat scalpers. What that looks like, no clue. But
I hope it
Yeah.
works.
It's just whatever they're doing with the Pokemon TCG right now, where they just let the scalpers fight each other in Costco.
Totally, totally. All right. Well, I think that's the end of the Switch 2 talk. We'll see you all at the next actual episode. Unless someone else has a last minute word they want to get in, we're done. We did it.
Nope.
We're out. See you next time.
Last minute word.